तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः.
Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibiriditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadatatam Bhuigrananti Ye Bhurida Jana. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and we have started the second volume, Chapter 28 at the Star Theatre, Friday, September 19, 1884. In spite of the heading, Thakur has not yet gone to the Star Theatre. He is in Dakshineshwar and is talking to devotees. And now he is describing his relation with his young devotees who are to become sannyasis later on, and later on he will talk about himself. These are the contents which we read now. And in connection with Rakhal, he remembered Balaram, because Rakhal required change of air, and Balaram every year spends some months in Vrindavan so that his household expenditure should be less, so that he saves the money for sadhu seva. Such a great devotee Balaram is. And in connection with Rakhal, he has taken Rakhal with him to Vrindavan for the change of air for Rakhal and financial saving for the ideal of sadhu seva for Balaram. And there Rakhal was enjoying the natural beauty and the peacocks and all that. But later on, he got some fever there. So Thakur is remembering him just like a mother misses her own child. That was the relation. And now he says, why am I so fond of the youngsters? So he's telling that it is not only about Rakhal, but all the youngsters who are to become sadhus later on. It seems that I am more fond of them. Why? They are still untouched by woman and gold. So if they turn their mind to God, that can be easily done. I find that they belong to the class of Nitya Siddhas. That means they are already free. And so they have to do a little sadhana, and then that Nitya Siddha nature will come up. They were perfect. And in that connection, he remembers Narendra. When Narendra first came here, he was dressed in dirty clothes. So Thakur has remembered both the external appearance and the internal consciousness. But is there no? But his eyes and face beckoned some inner stuff. So from the eyes and face, Thakur could make judgment, though the clothes were not clean. At that time, he did not know many songs. So Thakur asked him, Thakur is remembering every point that he asked him to sing. He did not know many songs. He was learning classical music. So devotional songs or Bengali songs, he did not know much. In the classical music, most of the pieces are in Hindi. And that time he did not know much, did not know many songs. He sang one or two, both very important songs, and Thakur remembered it much long afterwards. Let us go back once more, O mind, to our own abode. Mon chalo nija niketane. That was a long piece of song describing the struggle of a jiva to reach perfection. And, O Lord, must all my days pass by so utterly in vain? Jabe ki ye din amar vifale chaliye. Ashirata Divanishi Ashapatha Nirake, who had read that song and discussed it 2-3 times. So Thakur is remembering that. Whenever he came, so his inner spirit was revealed in those two songs. Whenever he came here, I would talk only with him. So Thakur's attraction for Narendra, Thakur himself is clearly telling that. Many people would be there, but Thakur would talk with only Narendra. Though the room was filled with people, he would say to me, please talk to them, and then I would talk with the others. When Narendra would divert my mind to others, then I could talk. Otherwise, I was concentrated on Narendra. That speaks of Narendra's receptivity. I became mad for the sight of him. So, how much eagerness the Guru feels more than what the Shishya feels. I became mad for the sight of him and wept for him in Jadu Malik's garden house. I wept here too, holding Bhavana's hand, though people could not understand that Thakur also is describing, and yet he is inside. He was so keen. Bholanath said, Bholanath is one of the workers of the Kali temple. Bholanath said, sir, you shouldn't behave that way for a mere Kayastha boy. Narendra was not a Brahmin. Kayastha is a lower caste compared to Brahmins. One day, the fat Brahmin, Pranakrishna, was a devotee, Pandit, and he was fat, so Thakur used to call him as fat Brahmin. Said to me about Narendra with folded hands, sir, he has very little education. Why should you be so restless for him? So everybody has a scale of judgment. Fat Brahmin judges everybody from education. And Narendra was studying in FA and then beginner of BA. Bhavanath and Narendra are a pair. They are like man and woman. So I asked Narendra to rent a house near Narendra's. I asked Bhavanath to rent a house near Narendra's. Both of them belong to the realm of the formless reality. So in the realm of the formless reality also, people can have the nature of a woman-like nature and a man-like nature. Please remember this important fact that there is no distinction between man and woman, whether in the realm of reality with forms or reality without forms. You know, in the Saptarshi Mandal, it is assumed that 7 sages are there, and one of them, Vasishtha, the Mahatmani, is associated with his wife, Arundhati, and that small star is shown near Vasishta star. Now he is protective about the youngsters so that they should not fall in the pit of womanly attraction. I forbid the youngsters to spend a long time with women or visit them too frequently. So a little association, they can be alert. If visit once or twice, they can be alert. But if it becomes a habit, either of talking for a long time or visiting them again and again, they may become attracted. I remember here one incident in Nagpur Ashram. One brahmachari, very young, had joined, and he had the assignment of the library counter for issuing books. Now, Nagpur Ashram library, tremendously popular in those days. And both girls and boys would come, and big lines would be there. My Guruji told that brahmachari, don't follow first come, first serve strictly. Make two separate lines with the girls and the boys. And as soon as possible, you finish dealing with the girls because they have a lot of work at home. But the main point was this, that he should not be required to pay longer attention to the girls. So same thing, Thakur is saying here. Haripada, one of the young devotees, has fallen into the clutches of women of the Ghoshpada sect. Ghoshpada sect is not a clean sect. They believe in this man-woman love. She shows maternal feeling for him, but Haripada is a child and doesn't understand its real meaning. The women of that sect act that way when they see young boys. Thakur knows. I understand that Haripada lies on her lap and that she feeds him with her own hands. I shall tell him that this is not good. This very maternal feeling leads to a downfall. The women of that sect practice spiritual discipline in the company of men. They regard men as Krishna. A teacher of that sect asks a woman devotee, have you found your Krishna? And she says, yes, I have found my Krishna. So they take a man to be Krishna. The other day that woman came here, I watched the way she looked around and I didn't approve of it. I said to her, you may treat Haripada any way you like, but don't have any wrong feeling for him. So not only he warned the boys, he warned the woman also who is attached to him. The youngsters are now in the stage of sadhana. They may be Nitya Siddhas or anything, but now in the stage of sadhana, they are aspirants. For them, the only thing now is renunciation. Tyag. Tyag is for them. Because this renunciation is sometimes used for dispassion and sometimes for renunciation, so I consulted the original Bengali. A sannyasi, there would be sannyasis. A sannyasi must not look even at the portrait of a woman. Beginners, huh? I say to them, don't sit beside a woman and talk to her, even if she is a devotee. She may be a devotee, but she is a woman, and there is a natural attraction between man and woman. I say to them, don't sit beside a woman and talk to her, even if she is a devotee. You may say a word or two to her, standing. So this also is there. Huh? Standing, you have more rajas in your veins. You are a hero. When you sit, it becomes less. When you sleep, it becomes still less. Even a perfect soul must follow this precept for his own protection and also to set an example to others. If the perfect soul may not feel downfall or attached, but his example will be there before the people. When woman came to me, he is telling his own example now, he is more than perfect. I too say to them after a few minutes, go and visit the temples. That means not for him. For example, maybe one thing, but in the woman, the man-woman consciousness disappears in company with the Thakur. But because of their womanly nature, after some time it may appear again. So Thakur tells them, get up and visit the temples. He does not say, don't sit near me. That is not his language. If they don't get up, I myself leave the room. So they feel so attracted because he is God, they do not leave. So what he does, he gets up and leaves the room. Then what they will do? Others will learn from my example. This is not ego. Huh? Thakur knows very well that he is absolute ideal. But others will learn from my example. Can you know he has found fault with that Babaji at Kalna who said that I do this, I do that for sake of example. Can you tell me why all these youngsters and you people to visit me? Now he tells about his own divine nature. That is true. There must be something in me, or why should you all feel such a pull, such attraction? So, something divine in him pulls you, attracts you. That is the purpose of an incarnation. Now he's telling some unusual experience. Once I visited Hriday's house at Shior. From there, I was taken to Sham Bazar. I had a vision of Gauranga before I entered the village. And I realized that I should meet Gauranga's devotees there. That was the meaning of Gauranga's vision. He himself being Gauranga. For 7 days and nights, I was surrounded by a huge crowd of people, remember. Such attraction. Nothing but kirtan and dancing day and night. People stood in rows on the walls and even were in the trees. Because they were devotees of Chaitanya, so they felt more attraction. I stayed at Natwar Goswami's house. It was crowded day and night. In the morning, I would run away to the house of a weaver for a little rest. There too, I found that people would gather after a few minutes. They carried drums and cymbals with them, and the drum constantly played takuti takuti. We would have our meal at 3 in the afternoon. That was the terrible crowd. The rumor spread everywhere. Now, why that happened, Thakur is telling. That a man had arrived who died 7 times and came back to life again. 7 times every day. Nirvikal Samadhi, no sign of prana, so they took it as death. But after some time it comes back. Hriday would drag me away from the crowd to a paddy field for fear I might have an attack of heat apoplexy. The crowd would follow us there like a line of ants. Again the cymbals and the never-ending takuti of the drums. Hriday scolded them and said, "Why do you bother us like that? Have you never heard Kirtan?" What could they do? Their attraction for God. The Vaishnava priest Thakur is so alert in spite of all this. So it is not emotionalism at all. The inner experience is totally different from emotion. The Vaishnava priest of the village came and almost started a quarrel. Because Thakur did not quarrel with them, so they could not start it. They thought I would take their share of the feast from the devotees. But soon they discovered that I didn't touch a piece of cloth or even a thread. So I would not take anything from the devotees. Someone remarked that I was a Brahmajnani. So the Vaishnava Pandits wanted to test me. One said, "Why hasn't he beads and a mark on his forehead?" Another of them replied, "They have dropped from him as the dry branch of a coconut tree." So all this is between them. Thakur is unaffected. But he has picked up this sentence. It was there that I learned the illustration of the dry branch of a coconut tree. So that mark only shows there was a branch. Otherwise, it does not show any pollution. The upadhis, limitations, drop when one attains knowledge. So, Thakur's own personality, judged by people, and they themselves found it. People came thronging from distant villages. They even spent the night there from distant villages. At Shambhadar, I learned the meaning of divine attraction. I experienced the meaning of divine attraction. Oh, this page is followed by a lot of photos. When God incarnates himself on earth, he attracts people through the help of Yoga Maya, his divine power. People become spellbound. So by analysis, Thakur says that he is nothing but God incarnate. It was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The master had been conversing with the Mukherjee brothers and the other devotees when Radhika Goswami, Radhika is not the name of a woman here, Radhika Charan, Radhika Prasad, the Bengali habit of only the first part of the name. When Radhika Goswami, a Vaishnava scholar, arrived and bowed before him, Master Master's description. Huh? This was his first visit to the master. Radhika Goswami took a seat. Master, are you a descendant of Advaita? Advaita Goswami was a very senior person, but one of the close associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it was said that because Advaita requested, so God took form of the Chaitanya. And this is the Goswami. So, are you a descendant of Advaita? Goswami. Yes, sir. At this, the master saluted him with folded hands. This must have been second time because as soon as he come, Thakur must have saluted him. Master, you are descendant from Advaita Goswami. You must have inherited some of his traits. In the same family, it is not actually heredity, but people of the same gunas in the previous lives are attracted to that lineage. A sweet mango tree produces only sweet mangoes and not sour ones. Of course, it happens that some trees produce large mangoes and some small, That depends upon the soil. Isn't that true? So seed is of sweet mangoes. Now, because of the soil and climate, the size of the mangoes may become small or big. The supplication of the outside substances is less, but they will be sweet. That is what Thakur says. Isn't that true? Goswami Amli, sir, what do I know? Thakur himself has explained. He wants a confirmation, but that Swami does not know. Thakur thinks that he is not replying because of his humility. So Thakur says, whatever you may say, others will not let you off so easily. Brahmins, however imperfect they may be, are worshipped by all on account of their having been born in the lines of great sages. To him, tell us the story of the Sankhachila. Is the story mentioned here? Oh. Some lines are skipped, so we did not get the connection. We are still thinking of the family, but that topic is not there. There is a line in Bengali, it has become absolutely necessary for the sake of connection. তা ছাড়া ভেকের আদর করতে হয়. That means he is come as dressed as a Goswamis do. So people will definitely show respect. It is essential. And then he talks of Shankarchira. Beg dekhle satya vastur uddipan hoy. So if a man is dressed as a sannyasi or a Vaishnava, then people remember the real Vaishnava, the real sannyasis. So that is the value of the dress. And he gives an extreme example. Chaitanya Dev Gadha ke bhek poriye sashtanga hoyechilen. There was a donkey, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dressed that donkey as a high Vaishnava and then made Sashtanga Pranam to that, showing others that bhek should be respected. Now, Shankarchila example. It is there after a few lines. I skipped reading a little. My mistake. Shankarchila, he wanted Master Master to tell. Master kept silence. So Thakur resumed the conversation and himself will tell about Shankarchila. So here, he wants to change the topic. Thakur is talking about Shankarchila because it is not the question of heredity, but something different, the importance of the dress. Master, if one of your ancestors was a great soul, he will certainly pull you up, however unworthy you may be. So the quality of heredity is like that. Ancestor was a great man. You may be ordinary, but he will influence you, pull you up. When King Duryodhana and his brothers were taken captive by the Gandharvas, Yudhishthira released them in spite of the fact that King Duryodhana was his enemy and had banished him to the forest. So, from the ancestors, it comes to the same line, the brothers even who are just. Example is that Duryodhan, by hook and crook, sent the Pandava brothers to forest. And yet, Pandavas were not unhappy. All the wise men went to the forest because they like to talk and spend time with Yudhishthir, the senior Pandava. And Duryodhana is burning by jealousy. So, this is a big story. Huh? Somebody suggested to Duryodhana that let us go, showing all our pomp and show in front of them, so that they will feel humiliated. And when they did like that, Indra, the foster father of Arjuna, biological father, you may say, Indra told his friend Chitraratha Gandharva. Gandharvas are people, they have unusual powers. And so what Chitraratha did, in the way from where Duryodhana is proceeding, there is a lake. And Chitraratha came with the divine damsels, Apsaras. They are the women folk among the Gandharvas. And they were taking bath in that lake. And they had their guards on the bank. And these Kauravas were driven by their intoxicated madness. So the Gandharva guards told them, don't approach the lake now. The damsels, heavenly damsels are taking bath. But they in their arrogance said, no, we will take now. And when they tried to enter the lake, the Gandharvas had their own army. And they were more powerful than men. So they caught Duryodhana and tied him to his chariot. They said, Chitraratha said, I recognize only Yudhishthira as the king. Now, the Brahmins near about, they ran and told the Pandavas that this has happened. Duryodhana's fast friends, great warriors, who had encouraged him on this type of mission. Shakuni, Dushasan is his own younger brother, Karna. Shakuni is maternal uncle, who played all the tricks. Karna, the great warrior, who was obliged to Duryodhana, and Dushasan was his own brother. And these three people fled the spot and ran away to the jungle when Chitraratha caught Duryodhana. All this news went to Yudhishthir. Yudhishthir told Bhima and Arjun, the two strongest of Pandavas, go and get the king released. Bhima said, if automatically he is going, Yudhishthir said, no. We may quarrel with each other, and they may be 100 and we may be 5. But when it comes to external enemy, we are 105. So will not make any difference. Thakur is telling the influence of heredity, the ancestors will pull you. As an example, he is telling even the powerful brothers will pull you. So he is talking like that. Then Bhima and Arjun went there. And Arjuna fought valiantly. The war may have ended equally. The purpose of Chitraratha is over. So he says that you are terrible people. I will not release the Duryodhana in front of you. I recognize Yudhishthira only as the king. I will take him bound to the chariot in front of Yudhishthira, and whatever Yudhishthira orders I will do. The idea being that he should be humiliated. And he did like that. Yudhishthira could not even wear that thing. Arey, he is a king, release him, release him, release him immediately. That was how he was released. That is the story Thakur is referring to. Yudhishthira released them in spite of the fact that King Duryodhana was his enemy and had banished him to the forest. So Duryodhana may be a wicked person, may have behaved very badly, but the Sajjana in his family redeemed him. This is what Thakur has told to that Goswami, that because of your heritage, your ancestors will make you great. Besides, here comes that point. Besides, one must show respect to the religious garb. Even the mere garb recalls to mind the real objects. Chaitanya once dressed an ass in a religious garb and then prostrated himself before it. Why do people bow before a Shankachil? So first he had talked about Shankachil, Master Masha kept quiet. Now again he brings the topic of Shankachil and tells himself. When Kamsa was about to kill the Divine Mother, that story, everybody knows practically. Kamsa had imprisoned his sister Devaki and her husband Vasudeva because he had heard a heavenly voice telling that the eighth son of Devaki would kill you. So, for safety's sake, he killed every son of Draupadi. And the case of seventh son, the fetus was transferred to the other wife Rohini, and they were staying in his friend's house, Nanda's house in Gokul. Now the eighth was born, Krishna, and by divine providence, Vasudeva was ordered, take him to the friend's house. And as God ordained, his chains in his hand and feet broke away. The guards slept due to terrible night. The gates got opened and he entered the river, Yamuna. And he's wading through the Yamuna, the river, and reaching his friend's house, Nanda, his wife Yashoda had given birth to a baby girl. And she was unconscious. She did not know even. So Vasudeva entered, kept Krishna and lifted that girl and brought her, thinking that Kamsa will not do anything because she is the girl. But when Kamsa heard that the eighth is a girl, he said, girl or boy, the eighth issue will be my enemy. So he lifted her and wanted to dash her on a stone to kill her. At that time, she flew away. That is the story. Kill the Divine Mother means that girl was a Divine Mother in that form. She flew away, taking the form of a Shankachil. Chil is a bird of prey. Shankachil is a type of that chil. When Kamsa was about to kill the Divine Mother, she flew away taking the form of Shankachil. So even now people salute the bird because that was the form taken by the God. And so people respect that form, though God may not be there. So the religious garb, he has to be respected. You have come in that garb, so we will show respect to you. People will not leave you. That is what Thakur's loving message to that Goswami is there. Now, dress. Thakur talks more about it. An Englishman arrived at the cantonment of Chanak. The sepoys saluted him. Kunwar Singh explained to me, India is under the rule of the English, therefore one should salute an Englishman because they are boss. Another example of dress being color or dress being respected. The Shaktas follow the Tantra and the Vaishnavas the Purana. There is no harm for the Vaishnavas in speaking publicly of their spiritual practices. That means Thakur wants him to talk something. But the Shaktas maintain secrecy about theirs because their sadhana itself is in secret. For this reason, it is difficult to understand a Shakta. With all this talk, he says to Goswami, you are all good people. How much japa you practice? How much you chant the name of Hari? Goswami humbly. Oh, no, we do very little. I am a great sinner. That is another quality of the Vaishnavas. A sort of mock modesty enters them. And they call themselves sinner. That is not to Thakur's language. Master smiling. You have humility. That is good. But there is also another way that you are talking like that due to humility. That is not bad. But why not think in this way as the Tantric Shaktas do? I chant the name of Hari. How can I be a sinner? He who constantly repeats, I am a sinner, I am a wretch, is verily becomes a sinner. What lack of faith! A man chants the name of God so much and still he talks of sin. That Thakur is showing him respect again and again, but that point he did not like. Radhika Goswami listened to these words in amazement because the Vaishnavas have never heard this type of talk. Master, at Vrindavan, I myself put on the garb of Vaishnavas and wore it for 15 days to the devotees. I have practiced the disciplines of all the paths, each for a few days and given up now, few days and completed it and went to the other paths. Otherwise, I should have found no peace of mind. That is the uniqueness and purpose of Thakur's incarnation. Nobody gets this idea. One becomes perfect through any path, he is happy and satisfied. But Thakur, though repeatedly getting success, the mind hankered, how God is experienced by these people, by these people, by these people. So he experienced God in all the paths. Otherwise, I should have found no peace of mind. Smiling, I have practiced all the disciplines. I accept all paths. I respect the Shaktas, the Vaishnavas, and also the Vedantists. Therefore, people of all sects come here, and every one of them think that I belong to his school. I also respect the modern Brahmajanis, that is the Brahma Samaj. Now Thakur gives an unique example. If we understand this example, we understand Thakur properly. A man had a tub of dye. Such was its wonderful property that people could dye their clothes any color they wanted by merely dipping them in it. A clever man said to the owner of the tub, dye my clothes in the color of your dye stuff. Allah. Let me expand this story now. That man is Swami Vivekananda, who wants real nature of God. So whatever is there in your tub, you color with that. And we highly praise that man. But what about the person who is coloring those clothes? Who has that tub? That is Thakur himself. Know what happens? Thakur knows, as he is telling, all paths. Thakur lays equal emphasis on all paths. He himself is the God who appears through different forms to the devotees. And that, as many faiths, so many paths are born out of the realization of this avatar of Ishta. And so Thakur tells that he is not one-sided. He can't be one-sided. Let me bring here what supremely wise Holy Mother Sarada Devi told about it. A sadhak asked her that the speciality of this incarnation is that he created harmony of religions, isn't it so? She said, no, I don't think he planned to create harmony of religion. If you ask me what is the speciality, I would say it is tyaga, renunciation. Such renunciation up till now has neither been seen nor heard of. And then she said, my boy, what you say also is true. All the sages of the past have given emphasis on some aspect of spiritual experience, because of which the other aspects got suppressed. Supremely Holy Mother's supremely correct diagnosis. This time it has not happened so. What would he do? 24 hours he was with God only. And so, because he had practiced everything, so he would be with God in this form, that form, this form, that form, and so nothing has become suppressed. Everything has become equally emphasized. Now, do you understand the connection? There is a connection that I want to see God in this form is also a form of I. Now, when Mother talks of renunciation, it is not only ordinary renunciation of woman and gold. That is the preliminary renunciation. But I of any type has to be renounced. And Thakur does not have, I want to see God in this particular way. Neither I want to see only the nature of God. That also is limitation. So, this is the connection between Thakur's Tyaga, like which nobody has seen or even heard, and Mother's two statements that he did not plan like that, his speciality is Tyaga, and so it has happened like that. So because Thakur had no ego of, I want to test God in this way, or I want to only know the nature of God, so that was his Tyaga. Such a Tyaga has never been seen or heard before. And because of that, Thakur experienced all the paths. Even to get this idea is not possible in other man's mind. That is why he is Avatar Varishta. And he equally respects all paths, all faiths as paths, because he does not lay any special emphasis on a particular form. That is the connection. See, Thakur is telling here, why should I be one-sided? The idea that the people of a particular sect will not come to me does not frighten me. Because that is not the purpose of his life. All people of all sects will come to him. Only the narrow-minded will not. I don't care a bit whether people come to me or not. Just before he has described how much attraction people feel for him. So God is not craving attraction of people so that their consciousness should be lifted spiritually, not for any selfish enjoyment of the attractor. I don't care a bit whether people come to me or not. So you don't have to practice something to attract people. The thought of keeping anyone under my control never crosses my mind. That man who wants some people to keep under control becomes slaves to them later on. Because he will go on changing his behavior as it suits them. Others asked me to ask the Divine Mother for a big position for him, but he didn't get it. If that makes him think differently about me, what do I care? So this worldly gain Thakur will never support. Here also, see the difference. There was a deputy magistrate. He was earning quite a bit. So Thakur is telling him, don't aspire for greater position. On the other hand, a great sadhaka, Swamiji's friend, a boy loved by Thakur, Upendra. He was in dire circumstances, he and his mother. So Thakur, once in a divine mood, asked him, Upen, what do you want? And he said, money. Thakur said, you will get it, you will get it. He felt ashamed that why did I ask for this? But it is proved that he wanted it. It was a dire necessity in his life without which he could not proceed even in his love for God. What happened? You will get it means he was a matriculator and non-matriculator. And somebody whose press was not functioning properly was about to sell it. So he sold it in some lower price. So he got some loan, Upendra purchased that and make it by his dint of labor and acumen a very big concern, the Vasumati press. And so he got money. And he spent all his money in the service of temples and of holy men and of beggars and everybody. And so that money did not obstruct his life. But if he goes after more money, he will spoil his religious instinct. If that makes him think differently about me, oh, he has no power, he could not do that. What do I care? Once at Keshav's house, I found myself in a new mood. The Brahmos always speak of the impersonal. Therefore, I said to the Divine Mother in an ecstatic mood, Mother, please don't come here. They don't believe you in your forms. So, Thakur did not want to disturb their faith. So he's telling Mother, don't come here. Radhika Goswami listened to these words of the Master against sectarianism and remained silent. Master, smiling. Vijay is in a wonderful state of mind nowadays. He was Vaishnava, but when he came to Calcutta, he learned that God is Nirakar. He believed, and so, out of love for truth, as he understood it, he joined Brahma Samaj. He started coming to Thakur, and by Thakur's company, his sanskaras of Goswami, the Vaishnava, came up, and he started getting experience of the Sakar Brahman. So he had to struggle a lot. He was the paid preacher in Brahma Samaj, but he had to give up that job. Vijay is in a wonderful state of mind nowadays. He falls to the ground while chanting the name of Hari. He devotes himself to kirtan, meditation, and other spiritual practices till 4 in the morning. That means from night. He now puts on an ochre robe and prostrates himself before the images of God. So he has changed totally. The sanskaras have come up. Once he accompanied me to Gadadhar schoolhouse. Gadadhar is an old Vaishnava saint. So his schoolhouse, I pointed out the place where Gadadhar used to meditate. That is called schoolhouse. పాటబడితే అమర్ సింగ్ ఇచ్చాడు పాటబడి ఓకే పాటబడి Actually, the place where Gadadhar used to meditate. At once, Vijay prostrated himself there. Again, he fell prostrate before the picture of Chaitanya Dev. So he has become totally not only believer, but experiencer of the form, God with forms. Goswami. What about the image of Radhakrishna? Master. He prostrated himself there too. Vijay also follows all the conventions of religious life. Goswami. He can now be accepted in Vaishnava society. So Vaishnava society had removed him because of his Brahma. But he has now fully started experiencing that. Master. People's opinion don't count for much with him. He is doing it for his own experience. Whether Brahmas accepting, Vaishnavas accepting, how is he concerned with that? Goswami, I don't mean that. By accepting me, Vaishnava society will honor itself. The other angle. Master, he respects me very much. But it is difficult to reach him. One day he called to Dhaka, the next day to some other place. He is always busy. His presence has created great trouble in the Sadharan Brahma Samaj, of which he was the paid preacher. Goswami, why so, sir? The master of the Brahmos tell him, you mix with people who worship God with form, you are an idolater. Vijay is liberal and straightforward. Unless a man is guileless, he doesn't receive the grace of God. Another quality of Vijay, guilelessness. He is what, not inside and outside different. Sri Ramakrishna talked to the Mukherjee brothers. Mahendra the elder had his own business. Priyanath the younger had been an engineer. After making some provision for himself, he had given up his job. Mahendra was 35 or 36 years old. The brothers had homes both in the country and in Calcutta. Master, smiling. Don't sit idle simply because your spiritual consciousness has been awakened. We will take up this Mukherjee thing tomorrow, day after tomorrow. Tomorrow is Wednesday. So we stop here today. ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना ॐ शान्ति 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 हरि ओम तत्सत् श्रीरामकृष्णार्पणमस्तु।